Hello and welcome. My name is Jim Frankel, and I am the founder and director of MusicFirst. And in this session, I'll be talking about music software integrations for Google Classroom. So let's dive right in. What is Google Classroom? So, no doubt, the fact that you've showed up to a session about Google Classroom, it is highly likely that you are using Google Classroom with your students right now. So you know. But for those of you that may not know, Google Classroom is a learning management system, kind of a lightweight version of something like Canvas or Schoology, or if you remember in the old days, things like Blackboard. And it is free, and many, many schools across the United States are using it. It looks pretty simple. The design is very sleek. There are a number of different things you can do. You can post assignments, you can link anything from your Google Suite, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, YouTube, Google Drive, things like that. And it's just a really simple way to give students assignments, have them, hand them in, and for you to grade them. It's free. All right. And so most school districts buy in or they adopt the Google Classroom environment, and then every teacher is given their own Gmail account, and students are given their Gmail accounts. So you kind of know it, but it really is an empty shell. So when you first open Google Classroom and you start setting up your very first class, you'll notice that there's absolutely nothing there. You have to start from scratch, as they say. So, Google Classroom is a free and easy to use website for learning. It's really popular because it's very simple. It is a way to link to your other Google products, which I just talked about. And the real reason why Google Classroom came about was about 7 years ago, 7-ish years ago. Chromebooks were introduced into the education market. And up until that time, Apple was king of education. A lot of school districts obviously use things like, PCs and Dells, that kind of computer. But when Apple released the iPad, they became the thing for education. And so many, many school districts started adopting iPads. And while they're really great and sleek devices, once a lot of schools starting adopting it, Google saw an opportunity there to get a much lower cost device into the hands of students. And they looked at things like netbooks, which were kind of a joke. If you ever had a netbook, they really were like giant flip phones that really didn't work very well. So Google came along and they said, this is a perfect opportunity, and they engineered the Chromebook. Chromebook is a web only device. It looks like a laptop, which I'll get into in a little bit. And people started using Chromebooks. But what quickly became apparent is there needed to be some way or some kind of education product that Google put their name behind that could be run on those Chromebooks. And lo and behold, along came Google Classroom about a year after Chromebooks hit the market. What it isn't. So this could be argued, but I would argue very strongly that Google Classroom is not a full-featured learning management system. It just isn't. There are numerous things that things like Schoology and Canvas do, as well as MusicFirst Classroom, that Google Classroom just doesn't do. And that the reason for that is, number one, it's free, but number two, it would kind of take away from the easy aspect of Google Classroom. If you have multiple Google accounts, so let's say you're a teacher and you have your school Gmail account and you have your personal Gmail account, it does become a little bit unwieldy to manage which Google account you're in. So let's say you're using your school laptop. Obviously, you're going to use your school Gmail account. But let's say on a break, you wanted to check your personal Gmail or go in and look at, like your personal YouTube account. So you switch over. So sometimes having multiple accounts becomes confusing, like which account am I in now? For those of you that know what I'm talking about, your heads are hopefully nodding right now. For those of you that don't, what most teachers do is they have a school Gmail account so that they're not getting emails or notifications from their students on their personal account. And sometimes it gets a little bit confusing as to which account you're currently using when you're on the internet. And what Google Classroom definitely isn't is there is nothing there for music teachers, nothing. So anything that you want to do with Google Classroom, you have to add music software and you have to create your own content in Google Classroom. Uh, so I think that's a pretty clear, the kind of the pros and cons of Google Classroom, if you will. So let's look, why Chromebooks? As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Chromebooks are not just made by Google, they're made by numerous different companies. So here I have one by HP on the left, then Acer, then Toshiba, and then Samsung. Again, many companies make Chromebooks, including Google. Um, they are all in the price range, usually between $150 and $200. There are more expensive Chromebooks that have touch screens, and there are less expensive Chromebooks. The kind of ups and downs of them, and most music teachers have absolutely no say on what Chromebooks are going to be purchased by the school or the district IT department, is that the cheaper Chromebooks usually have really bad microphones. And so for some music teachers, if you draw the short stick, if you will, or short straw, and your IT department buys really cheap Chromebooks, it's highly likely that the microphones won't be so great. By the way, if you're interested, I'm not going to step out on a limb and name the Chromebooks that have bad microphones. Just Google it. If you Google Chromebook comparison chart, you'll see all the kind of the good and bad and ugly of Chromebooks that are out there. But the reason they're really popular is that they're super affordable. A iPad typically is $400 to $800, and a Chromebook is typically from $150 to $250 at the most, maybe $300. But once you get to that price point, you might as well buy a laptop. So they're very affordable. Now, I'm a 50-year-old middle-aged man, and I personally love typing on keys that press in, that you can depress. I don't like typing on glass. Obviously, young kids that's all they've ever known, but I like the typing keyboard on a Chromebook way better than I like typing on an iPad. I just really prefer that. And a lot of students do as well. It is pretty much a laptop. I have been on numerous business trips, pre-COVID, of course, where I have said, you know what, let me just bring a Chromebook with me on this trip rather than my laptop, because I'm going for a short period of time. I really just needed to answer email and to get, to do some web stuff. So Chromebooks are perfect for that. And so I personally consider having a Chromebook with you just like having a laptop. And when I think about an iPad, I don't think about that at all. I think this is an iPad. This is really just a giant iPhone, if you will. But my Chromebook is more like a laptop. The cons of Chromebooks, and there are some real cons, is that the minute you're out of Wi-Fi, it is a doorstop. It is basically useless. Any Chromebook that has a hard drive is not a Chromebook at this point. It's a laptop. So all Chromebooks, the things that they have in common is that they're built for surfing the net, for accessing the web. They are not built for you storing any files locally, installing any software locally. It does not have a hard drive. So again, that the minute that you don't have Wi-Fi, so if you have no signal, if you've ever been like on a hike with your phone and there's no signal, you're kind of like, I'm disconnected. Well, with a Chromebook, if there is no signal, you can't use it. There is nothing on it. And as I mentioned in the last slide, the quality varies widely by brands. My recommendation, if you're going to buy a personal Chromebook for your own use, go and Google the best Chromebook for musicians. But typically schools don't give you a choice. You get what you get, and you don't get upset, even if they're really kind of garbage. My advice to you is go to some place like a Best Buy or a Staples or someplace that has Chromebooks on hand and just try it out, test it out, go on a website, see what you think. Anyway, enough about Chromebooks. let's talk about what MusicFirst is. So even though the title of this session is all about software integrations with Google Classroom, MusicFirst is a company that sells 10 different software titles and has a whole bunch of content. So the fact that it also integrates with Google Classroom really makes MusicFirst something you should seriously consider if you're thinking about using software with your Google Classroom implementation. So how we differ from Google Classroom or things like Canvas or Schoology is that we are the only comprehensive learning management system for K-12 music education. We built this learning management system with music teachers in mind only. We weren't thinking about science teachers, math teachers, none of those. We were thinking only about music teachers. So we asked so many different music teachers, what do you want to see? What features would you like? And we're the only company that can say that. Everything else has been built. There's a whole bunch of different products out there, but we were built by music teachers for music teachers. And what we do that differentiates us from anything else is that we have a huge pre-made content library that has units, lesson plans, tasks, assessments, and year-long courses, about a dozen courses that you can choose from, that you can just bring in and start adding your students to those courses and start teaching. And that pre-made content saves you a massive amount of time. If you've ever tried making your own Google form quiz, let's say it's I'm going to do a note naming quiz, and you do that in Google. Making that note naming quiz in Google Forms can take hours. And if you've done it yourself, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that content library is what teachers love about us, but the software is what gets us the attention. We have 10 different software programs. And even though quite a few of those software programs don't directly integrate with Google Classroom, if you use it with the MusicFirst Classroom, everything integrates with Google Classroom. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, for a whole bunch of content and software. The cool thing about MusicFirst Classroom is that it works on absolutely every device, every platform, phone, tablet, Chromebook, laptop, desktop. We don't care if it's a Mac or a PC. The only thing we really care about is, are you using the Google Chrome browser? So as we're talking about Google Classroom, this should not be a surprise. Google Chrome is, in our opinion, the best internet browser for music making and music consumption. And the reason for that is there are two really wonderful things, Web MIDI and Web Audio, which were built for Chrome, that make the recording of audio, loop making, music production, music notation. It makes it possible and quite honestly beautiful using the Chrome browser. If you use other browsers like Safari, you're going to run into a lot of compatibility issues. And one kind of unknown fact that really irks us here is that when Apple, and I'll get to our MusicFirst student app, when Apple made their iOS devices, they kind of said, we're not really that fond of Google because Google Chromebooks compete directly with iPad, and the Google browser has got a lot of business. They were like, you know what, we're not going to work well together. So the Chrome browser on an iPhone or an iPad does not allow users to access the microphone. That's just a simple fact. So because of that, because of this little dispute between Google and Apple, we, as well as many other software manufacturers, had to create a free app so that students could use the Google Chrome browser with the microphone. That's why we have an app, and it is kind of a necessary evil, if you will, but it's free and it works. So here are the 10 different software titles that MusicFirst offers. These are all optional. 2 of them are included, but the rest are optional. I'll just go around the horn real quick. Focus on Sound is an interactive digital encyclopedia with high definition video and audio and hundreds of built-in quizzes and tests, as well as dozens of lesson plans that are kind of self-paced, perfect for this kind of virtual and hybrid world that we find ourselves in at the moment. That's Focus on Sound. Generator is a beat making app. And the bottom line is, no matter what you teach, every single student that you have loves music, and they love kind of genres like hip hop and rap. EDM, all kinds of things. They love listening to music, but they also love making beats. Ask any kid if they want to make some beats. Their answer is almost always yes. And O Generator is a fantastic interface for kids of any musical background to just make some beats. And then those beats can be imported into any other program like Soundtrap, like Soundation, even things like GarageBand or Mixcraft. PracticeFirst is our performance assessment software, our red note, yellow note, green note assessment, if you will, although we don't do it by note. I'm going to show you this software in a little while. We're really proud of it. Its assessment algorithm is incredibly accurate, and through MusicFirst Classroom, you can integrate directly into Google Classroom. Sight Reading Factory is an extremely well-known sight reading product, and again, through MusicFirst Classroom, you can integrate that into your Google Classroom implementation. Aurelia and Musician are the best-selling ear training and music theory software titles. They've been around for over 20 years. They're a company from Australia. Aurelia is ear training, Musician is music theory, and they've got tons of lesson plans and hundreds of pre-made quizzes that self-grade and self-populate into the MusicFirst Classroom gradebook, which is really convenient. Flat for Education and NoteFlight Learn are both products that integrate already directly with Google Classroom, but they also integrate through the MusicFirst Classroom. They are notation products. They are fabulous. There are subtle differences between the two in terms of the interface, in terms of collaboration. They're both fantastic products. And then the last two products are our versions of a digital audio workstation. So Soundation for Education and Soundtrap. Soundtrap is another one of those titles that integrates directly with Google Classroom on its own or through the MusicFirst Classroom. Soundation is it's the only software program that we sell that does not work on iOS devices, doesn't work on iPhones or iPads, but it does work beautifully on Chromebooks. And when Chromebooks first came out, Soundation for Education was extremely popular because it was the only program at that point in time, as well as NoteFlight, that worked on a Chromebook. So it's a great program, but the fact that it doesn't work on iPhones and iPads may make up your mind for you. Soundtrap does work on iPhones and iPads. Anyway, those are the 10 different software titles that we offer. So let's take a look. What I'm going to do now is go into the dashboard of the MusicFirst Classroom. All right. So here we have the classes that I'm teaching. If you've been using Google Classroom, which by the way, looks like this, very similar. You've got a dashboard with all the classes that you're currently teaching. So very similar. Here are the classes I'm currently teaching. And for this session, I've created a class called Appleton Middle School Choir. I'm actually a tuba player, band director, but I made a choir class because a lot of times choir directors always have to hear band stuff. So this time, the band people are going to have to hear about choir stuff, even though everything I'm showing you is applicable either way. So I'm in a class. There are 4 main tabs. Here's my software tab. Focus on Sound is included with every MusicFirst Classroom implementation, and so is O Generator. We do offer all the other software programs for an additional fee. So Aurelia is $2 per user. Flat for Education is $2 per user. Musician is $2 per user. If you buy both Aurelia and Musician, it's $3. You save $1. NoteFlight is $2 a user plus a $49 fee. O Generator is included unless you purchase PracticeFirst. And PracticeFirst, our new pricing as of January 1 is $4 per user. We're adding amazing amounts of content and more features are on the way. So that's $4 a user. Sight Reading Factory is $2 a user. Soundation is $2 a user. And Soundtrap it depends on how many seats you buy. It's around $5 a user, which again is a new price for January. That's the price that Soundtrap charges everybody. So we've gone and aligned ourselves with them. The more seats you buy, the more that price comes down. So for example, if you buy more than 1,000 seats, that price goes from $5 to $4.29. So it is a sliding scale, but just for the purposes of kind of getting an idea of budget, it's around $5 a seat for Soundtrap. So that nobody buys all the software. Like a choir director might buy PracticeFirst and Sight Reading Factory. A band director might buy those too. You might also buy a Rail, musician, maybe Noteflight. General music teachers will always get a Soundtrap and maybe OGenerator and focus on sound because they're included, maybe a notation program. So it depends on what you teach. No two MusicFirst classrooms implementations are the same. So we customize it to every single school that we work with. We have a resources tab that you have Flipgrid integrated. Google is, so you can have a quick link to all your Google files. Intune Monthly, a free subscription for every MusicFirst Classroom subscriber for both teachers and students. MusicTheory.net. If you don't want to buy a Railian musician, we have MusicTheory.net available for free. And we've got a kind of innovative way to get those assignments from the students to your centralized gradebook, which we think is pretty cool. Shed the Music is like Khan Academy. Lots of great handouts and videos. Really, really fabulous product. They also sell a curriculum for digital audio workstations called Production Through Performance. And then there's Spotify. You can share any Spotify track in any lesson plan with your students. Then there's the content tab, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. The content library, in my opinion, is the most useful thing in the MusicFirst classroom. If I go to the MusicFirst library and click on it, I will see 6 large buckets of content: band, choir, orchestra, music theory, general music, and MusicFirst assessments. So for band directors, I'll just help you out here. We're going to click on the band category. And once I go in here, I've got a whole bunch of pre-made content. So the very first thing I see is a unit of social and emotional learning for bands, specifically written by one of our amazing teachers. We've got an onboarding unit. And onboarding is nerd term for the very first time kids use the platform. These are some great lessons and assignments for them to get them a little bit more comfortable and familiar with the MusicFirst classroom. If I go further down a little bit, I've got pre-made courses. So let's go to this high school band course. This is a year's worth of material that was authored for you. And if you say, wow, this is a lot of stuff, let me start scrolling just to show you how much content is in here. Fingering charts, scale quizzes, playing quizzes, instrument care and maintenance videos, music theory assignments, all for high school band kids. Let's keep scrolling. Ear training assignments for high school band kids. You can see there's a lot. Performance assessments. And any of these can be replicated, duplicated, edited, changed, deleted, whatever you want. So performance assessments, sight reading assignments, right? All of this is pre-made for you. Critiques, improvisation, and finally, composition. That's a lot of content, really great stuff, okay? So don't overlook that. And then you have the My Classes, which is how most learning management systems work. You can create any class. You can create, you can add your students. You can create groups of students, whatever you want to do. So what I'm going to do now is switch gears and just show you a little bit of the software before I show you how it integrates with Google Classroom. So the software that most people want to see from us is PracticeFirst. So I'm going to click on that. Now, because I'm doing a little bit of a choir focus for this session, and I don't have my tuba with me, I'm going to choose some vocal things. So I've got a whole bunch of filters. There's available content. There's premium content that you could purchase as an add-on. There's shared content, which music educators are sharing. It's mostly public domain or original materials. And then there's the exercises that you have created yourself. So I'm going to go to the available folder. I'm going to use the filters to choose something voice. I'm going to use the series to pick something really short and sweet for you. So I'm going to go to NYSSMA content, the New York State School Music Association. I'm going to click on these sight singing exercises. I'm going to choose sight reading level 1, exercise 5, and I'm going to actually sing for you now. I'm sorry in advance for my less than stellar voice. Again, I'm a tuba player, but I'm going to choose the bass part. And I'm just going to click, actually, let me go to this backing thing. I'm going to make sure that the metronome is on. That's very good. So I'm going to just get rid of that. My metronome is going to be clicking, and I'll click record. Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, so, fa, mi, re. mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, do. All right, so obviously I got a couple of things wrong, but I'm really pleased with this. I got a 94%. I played 100% of it. My pitch score was a 91, but my rhythm score was a 98. I did get a few errors, and what I'm going to show you next is what we're really proud of. If I click X, you'll see that I have, rather than colored note heads, which gives you really limited feedback, like, did you play this correctly? Instead, underneath, we have ongoing feedback. So this means, hey, you didn't sing this long enough. You were moderately sharp here. And as I mouse over it, I'm seeing everything I'm doing wrong. You were really sharp here. You cut this note off early. Other products don't do that, by the way. As long as you sing the right pitch at the right time, it marks it correct. But I only sang this for a quarter note and it marked me down for that, right? I was really sharp here. Wow, you were really sharp and you cut it off early. Going through, you played this note wrong, this was off, and you cut this one off early. So you see that it's really giving you a lot of great feedback. If I go in here, I'm just going to show you real quick. You can make your own content, obviously, and the vast majority of PracticeFirst users are doing that. You can upload any music XML file or MuseScore file. So if you go to musescore.com and download a score, you can upload it to PracticeFirst and get your students working on it. If you're working on a marching band arrangement or a choir piece or something for your orchestra, and you have it in Sibelius, you can import it into MuseScore, make sure the instrumentation is correct, and then upload it. Or you can just try uploading the music XML file. You can also make an audio only exercise. And what this is great for is, rather than worrying about the notation, just make a recording of the piece, right? Just sing it. And then your students will be assessed based on that recording. One thing that PracticeFirst does that's different than any other product is that it's powered by an amazing company called Match My Sound. And Match My Sound is exactly what it sounds like. It takes a source audio file, then it takes the student's recording audio file and layers them on top of each other and makes the determination of their score based on the differences between the two audio wave forms. It's really innovative, cool stuff. So while a lot of people will say, well, PracticeFirst doesn't have as much content as something like Smart Music. Yeah, they're right. We don't. However, we do have 39,000, soon to be 40,000 pieces of content that are included. It's less money, and you can upload your own exercises really, really easily. So that's PracticeFirst. Just show you a couple of other ones. I'm going to go now to Soundtrap. So Soundtrap is a digital audio workstation, just like GarageBand. A lot of band, choir, and orchestra directors are currently using Soundtrap to do their virtual ensemble recordings. So just let me show you how you could do that. If I go into the studio, I can import a backing track, right? So if I click on here, I'm going to import a file. I can import an MP3 and have my students record themselves in a brand new track over that. I can then download each one of those tracks and then use an audio editing program as well as a video editing program to piece them all together. You can also invite people and create collaborations. So I can invite our two fabulous tech support people, Juliana and Tori, to join me. So let's say that you wanted to have an SATB choir and have one soprano, one alto, one tenor, one bass, or your flute choir, your woodwind quintet, your trombone choir, your brass quintet, or your string quartet, your string ensemble, or any group of students. They can collaborate together and each add their own track. And what that's good for is you can export those files really easily. But there's some other fun things you can do in here. For example, there's an entire loop library. And let's say, hey, I want to do some R&B stuff, and I would like to get some R&B beats. So I'm going to bring in, let's hear this. That's nice. Let me bring that in. I'll also bring in a kick drum. That's kind of cool, I guess. Let me bring in a bass part. Here we go. I'll do, I'm going to get rid of the beats and bring in an R&B bass. Let's do 802. And now here's my beautiful little piece. Turn up the volume of the bass. And then I can go in and record myself over that. I can plug in a USB MIDI keyboard. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to start recording. That's fine. Normally you would use headphones for something like this. Hello, my name is Jim, and I am recording myself directly into a web browser, which is extraordinary. Right, so I recorded my beautiful little voice part. Here we go. Let's hear this gorgeous composition. Hello, my name is Jim, and I am recording myself. So again, obviously, that's probably not what you would do, but you can have students make creative compositions, collaborative compositions, or you can upload any type of accompaniment and have students record themselves. There are a lot of music teachers right now using Soundtrap to do and facilitate their virtual ensemble recordings. That's pretty cool. I'm just going to show you one more software title, and then we'll go into how this integrates into Google Classroom. So let's bring up Focus on Sound, which is included with every copy of MusicFirst Classroom. So I'm uploading, or I'm loading the Focus on Sound software. It's taking a little longer than normal. Of course, that happens while I'm recording my session. So here we go. As I mentioned earlier, there are pre-made lesson plans, right? So I can go in just to show you, again, if I'm pretending I'm a choir director right now, I can go into voices or singing, click on that, and these are lesson plans on singers and singing. And right here, it tells you, this is what you're gonna learn, and at the end of these 7 topics, you're gonna take a quiz. I can start the lesson, and I can click go. And what the students will do is literally look at every single page here, click on the red arrows, go through all of these things, look at the different examples that are here, watch the different videos, play the different YouTube things, and then when they're done with all of that, they click continue lesson and they go on to the next section. Really cool. This is great for self-paced instruction, for virtual instruction, for hybrid instruction, or even if you're in person. This is a great kind of homework assignment, if you will. So let me go back. I'm going to end this lesson, and I'm going to go to a quiz to show you what that looks like. Let's go to tests. Let's not forget our orchestral conductors. So I'm going to go to the string section, and I'm going to take a quiz on all of the strings, level 1. And here we go. What I love about this is there's a wide variety of different question types. So press the audio to identify this instrument. And so that's a violin, really high definition recordings, beautiful. We licensed a lot of music for this. All right, so we know that's the double bass. All right, very good. I'm going to click next. I'll do a couple more questions. All right, so this is just listening. That's obviously a harp. I'm going to get this next one wrong on purpose, so let's hear this. So obviously that's a cello, but I'm going to pick harp. Oh, I got that wrong. So now I see that my score has gone down a little bit. Right? So that is a viola. Excellent. Right? One more question and then we'll move on. And you'll see here that it's keeping track of this little progress bar. I got 1 wrong, and so far I've got, I think, 6 right. Right, so that's Focus on Sound. Again, lots and lots of pre-made content, which is really, really cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the class that I created just for this session called the Appleton Middle School Choir. And I'm going to now make an assignment for my students and show you how to link them to Google Classroom. So the first type of assignment, a lot of people, very, very popular. I just want my students to submit an audio recording. So let's do that. I'm going to click on Create Task. And I'm going to make this task called Sing Your Favorite Christmas Carol. right? Really simple. What type of task? We do 9 different task types. Actually, now that's wrong. 10. We added an evaluation. We're working with a number of state organizations to do their virtual evaluation and adjudication festivals. That's what evaluation. But let's go to record audio. Let's keep on track, Jim. So I want my students to sing their favorite Christmas carol. I'm literally going to copy those as the instructions, right? And then once I've done that, when do I want this to be assigned? So I'm going to make this due this January 1st, New Year's Day. They have to have this done by. I can tag it to any set of state standards or national standards. I can even create my own. I'm going to add this to my gradebook and make this assignment worth 100 points. Believe it or not, you can make your own grading scale or grading scheme. You can add a grading rubric to it if you really want to. For the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that process. I'm going to click Create Task. Once I've done that, and I get to what I call the task page, right? Here I am. I'm seeing my task. You will see, and this is an option. So if you don't have this option, if you're a current customer, you just have to ask us to turn it on. There is a share in Google Classroom button. There's also a share on Remind. So if your students are using the Remind app, this will give them a notification that, hey, you've got to sing your favorite Christmas carol. But in this case, we're going to focus on sharing it in Google Classroom. When I click on that, it asks me which classroom do you want to share this with. So I'm going to share it with my MusicFirst Google Classroom and click Share. So what we do now, because we've connected Google Classroom with MusicFirst Classroom, and the very first time you do this implementation, you're going to have to sign into your Google Classroom and allow it. Watch what happens. If I now switch over to my Google Classroom and I pull up my MusicFirst Google Classroom, you'll see here that James Frankel posted a new assignment called Sing Your Favorite Christmas Carol. I can click on it and it will take me to how many people have actually turned this in. If I go back and go to my classwork, right, and go to the bottom, there is, because for some reason Google Classroom does things in reverse chronological order, which drives me crazy. I can click on Sing Your Favorite Christmas Carol. It brings up the actual assignment. And what the students would do, this is exactly what they'll see, is view assignment. So if I do that, actually, hold on, not view assignment. I click on the actual link instead. I click it, and it brings me right to that task page. The very first time students click that link, they'll have to log into MusicFirst and allow their Google Classroom account to be linked to their MusicFirst Classroom account. Once they've done that, they get right to the task page and they can open it and do that assignment. All right. What I'm going to do now for the purpose of illustration is I don't actually have a student Google Classroom account. So I'm going to unshare this to show you what it looks like as a student. If I was a student, I would do it exactly the way I just showed you. But to kind of show you how this would work, I'm going to log into the demo classroom as a demo student. And I will see I'm in my Appleton School Choir and Sing My Favorite Christmas Carol. I click on it. And I click Start Recording. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. Stop recording. I can preview it. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. That's fabulous. I can either throw it out and make a new recording, or I can submit it. By the way, if you're thinking about it, yes, you can upload a backing track for your students to sing along with. So there is a little configure recorder button, which I skipped right over. You can click configure recorder, upload a backing track. So I'm going to click submit, and that will upload. This is what it looks like for the teacher now. I go in, I refresh this page, and I'll see that my demo student has turned this in. So I'm recording this right now on December 1st at 6:05 p.m. So I click submitted. And that audio recording, I don't have to download it. I don't have to have a student email it to me. It's embedded directly in the gradebook. And I click play. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, la, 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 la. Now, that may not seem like a big deal, but the fact that that recording is embedded in the gradebook will save you tons of time because you don't have to go and download it or try to find it somewhere. It's right there for you. So I'm giving that student 100 because it was so good. I could give them a comment. I could also clear the submission so that they have to redo it. Let's say they didn't do the assignment correctly. So that's a really simple one. Let me show you how to create a practice first task now, and then I'll do a sight reading factory one. So I'm going to write in practice this with an exclamation point. I'm going to choose MusicFirst software, and I'm going to choose Practice First from the drop-down menu, and I'm going to say sing this piece. All right. Now, I am going to go in and say that this is going to be due on Christmas Eve. Poor kids. And I am going to click Add to Gradebook. I'm going to make this worth 100 points. And I'll click Create Task. Now what I can do, before I share it in Google Classroom, is I open it in Practice First. I'm going to go find a piece of content that I want my students to perform. So I'm going to get rid of NISMA and click Reset Filter. Right? And instead, let's do this. I'm going to do this here. There's a lot of content is what I'm trying to show you here, but let's go instead to voice. That's the easiest way for me to find content. Then I'm going to scroll through and see if I can find something appropriate. There, holiday tunes and carols for choir. So let's do Old Lang Syne. And I am going to click Assign to Student. There's a whole bunch of advanced options that are great. I'm going to make the grading rigor easy. I'm going to make the students record this with a metronome, and I'm going to click Add. Now that it's been successfully attached, it goes away. So I'm now going to go in as a student to show you what this looks like. I go to Appleton Middle School Choir, and I'm going to click Practice This. I will also show you afterwards how to link this to Google Classroom, which I really already have, but I'm opening it in Practice First. I'm going right to that bass part. I'm going to hear the open. All right, here we go. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgotten? Well, that's not going to go so well. So here we go. I got an 88. Now it's red because I did not complete the whole thing. So far, I was doing really, really well. I'm surprised. But it's red because it's saying, look, you did not play at all and you got some rhythmic errors. You only played 39%. I'm going to click submit anyway. I don't care. So what that's going to do is take that 88, times it by 39%. I got a really bad grade. So let's show you this. When I go back into the classroom to my middle school choir, it says there's nothing to grade. And I go, oh, wow, what happened? If I go to my grade book, I'll see that I got a 34% on that. I didn't do so well. So watch this. I can actually click on the task itself. Let's go to the task, and I can click, you know what, kid, that wasn't good enough. Clear submission. Do it again. And just like I showed you before, I can click Share in Google Classroom, choose the classroom that I want to share it with, share, right? And just to show you that it worked, here we go. I'm going to go to my classwork. I'll refresh the page, and you'll see now at the bottom of my classwork list, there's Practice This. And there, if I click on it, I can get right back to that assignment. Okay, so let's do another one. We are going to do a sight reading factory assignment. I'm going to click Create Task. I'm going to click Sight Read This. I'm going to make this sight reading factory, and I'll say Sight Read. Very clear instructions. This is going to be due on Christmas Day, poor kids. It's going to be worth 100 points. And create task. Now, before you share it with Google Classroom, you open it in Sight Reading Factory first. This is making a link between MusicFirst Classroom and Sight Reading Factory, right? And that's really important because you'll need that link when you share it into Google Classroom. So I'm just going to say, choose your instrument. All right. And I'll let the students choose the instrument. What you can do is pick the key signature, pick the time signature. And I'm going to do that. I'll say C major or B flat major. So you could do multiple. Time signature, I'm only going to let them do 4/4 and 3/4. 8 measures, yep, that sounds good. 100 beats per minute, yep. How many seconds did they get before they have to start recording it? Let's give them only 10. Do I want a metronome to click during the recording? Yes, but no subdivisions, please. This sounds good. Note annotations. I would like them to sing Movable Do with a La bass minor, and I'll click Attach Assignment to Task. Are you really sure? Yes, I am. Right? So now let's see what that looks like as a student. I go back to my middle school choir. Sight read this. I click on that. Sight read. Very good instructions. I click Open in Sight Reading Factory. I have to test my microphone. This happens because it's making sure that your microphone works before recording it. It would be terrible if the students did that, made their whole recording and it didn't work. All right, so I have to listen to the entire thing, unfortunately. It would be terrible if the students did that, made their whole recording and it didn't work. Good, so I know my recording worked. I click Sounds Good, and now I choose my voice type. And the minute I do, I get a piece of brand new music that's never been seen before and 10 seconds. And I can't play it. So I'm going to choose, I'll choose level 2 because I really don't feel like making a fool out of myself. And I'm going to click Start Assignment. Here we go. I'm going to hear my opening pitch. All right, wish me luck. Here we go. Do, do, ti, do, mi, sol, mi, do, re, mi, sol, fa, mi, sol, la, sol, mi, do. Well, I'm pretty impressed with myself. I hope you are too. I'm not the greatest singer, but at least I sang it right. If I click try another, it will give me a brand new example. And that's kind of fun when students realize that the first time because they think, oh, I practiced it once, I'll just do it again. Nope, you never get the same sight reading example twice. So I'm going to click Submit Assignment. Are you sure? Yes, I am. It uploads that, and I go back as a teacher. I'm going to refresh this page, and you'll see that there's been a new submission. If I click on it, it brings me to that exact piece of music. And by the way, no two students will get the same piece of music. They'll all get a brand new piece. So I see the music and I have the recording. Do, do, ti, do, mi, sol, mi. You don't need to hear it all, but I'm going to give them a grade of a 99 because I don't think they deserve 100. I'll click Save. Okay, I click All right. I'll get rid of this. When I refresh this page, that grade will have come through. So I have my 99%. Again, if I click Share in Google Classroom, I choose the classroom that I want to share it in. I click Share. Now, for those of you that have been using Google Classroom, the one thing that I always laugh about is that whenever I made the due date, in this case, Christmas at midnight or 11:59 p.m., what happens on my phone is I get a notification that I have an assignment due. So I get these all the time. So if you do this, make sure that you unshare it or delete the assignment. I hope that rings true with some of you. So what I'd like to do now is switch gears and find something from the MusicFirst library for chorus that I could have my students do. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to do the social and emotional learning unit for chorus. I'm going to click Use this unit now. I'm going to assign this to my Appleton class. Okay. And what I do is I'm copying all of the, obviously you would go in and preview this before you copied it, but I know it's here. And I'm going to click Create Unit. What that does is it copies it from the main library and brings it into my middle school choir. So now I can look at the teacher view, which are the kind of objectives, and the student view. This is what the students will see, which I guess is not a lot. Oh, this is only the unit content. So these are all the different things that are in this unit. That is a lot of stuff, right? Very cool. So let's go to the unit content. And now what I'm going to do is click on class calendar because this is how you can assign things in MusicFirst. Little different than how you do it in Google Classroom. So I'm going to do this, let's say as soon as my kids get back to school in January, these are the assignments I want them to do. I'm going to have them do a choir writing assignment on Monday, January 4th. I'm going to have them do another assignment on Monday, January 11th, another assignment on the 18th, social and emotional learning on January 25th. And maybe also I'm going to use the lesson plan on January 4th so they can see this. Now you see that there's a lot of stuff grayed out. That grayed out means that it's not viewable yet by the students, which means that you can do a lot of front loading of the assignments so that students, they don't see it until you want them to. And the way you do it is you click on the little gearbox and you make it visible, right? So I'm going to make these assignments visible to my students. Now, just to show you what this looks like, if I go back to my class overview and I click on any of these tasks, I can make some of them. If I click on any task, I've got that share in Google Classroom. So I can do that. All right, you all get the idea. What I'm going to do now is show you what that looks like as a student. When I go into my Appleton Middle School Choir, I now have some other assignments, and only the ones that my teacher has made visible. So here are all the assignments. So here's one, using mistakes to encourage growth. I click on it. This activity can be completed either by using this form or typing it in here. So I'm not going to actually type anything. Right now, I'm just going to type blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Ooh, I spelled blah wrong. That's terrible. And when I'm all done, pretend that I've written a really nice extended response. I click submit response here. So this, by the way, is content that I did not have to create in Google Forms. This was already made. And what you can do, which is really cool, is you can edit any task. So I can go in and edit this task and decide whether or not I want this content included, whether I want to include a video from something like YouTube. Hey, I don't really want my students to be learning about analyzing. I could just delete that. I can add the song title that I want my students. So let's take the latest hit by The Weeknd, Blinding Lights, right? And say that's the song I want you to focus on for this assignment, right? So again, you have total customization of any of the content that we provide. You can obviously also create your own tasks or lessons or assessments or units. So I'm not going to go into that now, but you can easily create your own content, or you can use the content that we've provided. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you, and then we'll wrap up, is I'm going to click Create Task. And in this case, I'm going to show you how to make something from musictheory.net. And this is, in my opinion, really, really cool. So let's bring up musictheory.net, which is something that you probably all know. It's completely free. There is an exercises tab here. I'm going to click on exercises. And at the very bottom, you may not have seen this before, you may already be using this, is the exercise customizer. So let's again pretend that I am a middle school choir director, and I want my students to work today on scale ear training. Now let's do note ear training. So what I can do is I can look on what notes are available for my students. Yeah, just the regular vanilla notes, if you will. Do I want my students to give a reference note first? What pitch? How fast is this? What instrument do I want to be playing those notes? Let's see if there's any. No, I think piano is probably best for choir. And yeah, all of this sounds good. Note ear training. Now at the very bottom is a custom URL that was made just for these choices. So I click on that. Right, so I now have the quiz that I'm ready to give my students. Let me show you how we do this in MusicFirst. And obviously, anything that we do in MusicFirst Classroom, you can share in Google Classroom. So I'm going to say note ear training. Obviously, we have Aurelia. You can use one of the pre-made quizzes in there, but because so many people ask us about musictheory.net, thought it'd be cool to do here. So what is this? This is going to be a to-do. So I want my students to do this, take this quiz, and their response is going to be submit a web link, right? And I'm going to say, go to this website and complete the quiz. I'm going to paste in the URL. Let me make sure that it's a link. There's a link button, so I can paste that here again, click OK. There it is. So it's a link that's going to work. When you are finished, please click on the three dots in the upper right-hand corner and click on copy link after you have signed the progress report. For those of you that have used musictheory.net, you know exactly what I'm talking about already. So I gave them some real simple instructions with a link. When is this due? This is going to be due, let's say December 11th. And I'm going to add this to the grade book, and I'm going to make it worth 100 points. All right. And I click create task. That's all I have to do to make a musictheory.net assignment. Let me show you what it looks like for the kids. So I come into my Appleton Middle School choir class, and I see that I have a note ear training quiz. I click on that, click here, and then add your response. So I click on this. It brings me to the new link. So here's, so I think that note, all right, so I got that one right. Is a C. That's an A. That's a B. Here comes the bride. All right, so you get the idea. When I'm all finished, however, obviously you would say get a 10 out of 10. You click the three dots. You go to show progress report. You sign the report. And it gives you copy link. So I copy the link. Once I've done that, I just click the back button. And I paste that response here. Submit response. If you've ever done a musictheory.net assignment, typically the students are emailing it to you or something else. Let me show you how cool this is. Once I refresh this page, I see there's the submission. I click the submission. I click the link. I get directly to their score, which is 100%. And I can get rid of here and give them their 100%. The student did a great job. So that's how you can integrate musictheory.net. And by the way, Flipgrid, you can embed a Flipgrid that you create. You can embed it directly into a task. Really pretty simple to do. Right. So with that, you'll see that all of this software is available. Hold on. All of the software that is available through the MusicFirst Classroom can then be integrated into your Google Classroom using MusicFirst as kind of the bridge between the two platforms, if you will. So I'll bring up my little PowerPoint presentation, go to this slide right here. Just real quick as a reminder, there are 4 different types of software integrations that you can do through MusicFirst Classroom. That is a generic task, which is where you're telling the students, just go to flat, just go to Noteflight, make something and hand it in. A specific task where you're saying, just like I showed you with PracticeFirst, go to this Christmas carol, sing this specific piece. A template task where you're uploading a backing track and having the students record themselves over it. Or free play where the students can just use the software on their own, just for the fun of it. And believe it or not, they will. It's all single sign-on, all browser-based, and it works on every device. So you can start something on an iPhone, finish it on a Chromebook. It doesn't matter, as long as you're using the Chrome browser or the MusicFirst student app. We have 2 products, the MusicFirst Classroom, which is what I showed you today. Typically, people are spending somewhere between $4 and $10 per user. You can definitely spend more. The lowest price is $4, but average is around between $8 and $10 per user per year. Teachers are the same price as students. We also have a product for K-5 called MusicFirst Junior. This actually does not integrate with Google Classroom, although we're working on it. It is $399 per year for unlimited students in a school. Thank you very much for attending this virtual conference and making it with me to the end of this little video presentation. I truly appreciate it, and I hope that you learned something. Please like us on Facebook. We have a vibrant MusicFirst Teachers Facebook group, which is a great place to ask questions and get advice. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn, just like everyone else. We do have a really popular podcast that comes out every other Thursday and features a K-12 music educator who's using technology. Maybe they're using MusicFirst as well. And what we've been doing lately is focusing on how they're getting through the COVID kind of things and the challenges that it poses. And last but not least, we have a YouTube channel, and our support has tons and tons of tutorial videos. We have a certification course that's completely free. So don't worry about the support side of things. Our support team is really second to none. If you'd like a free 30-day trial, you can go to musicfirst.com, click in the upper right-hand corner on the free trial button, fill out your information, and we'll give it to you for 30 days to try it out. Between January 1st and March 31st, we run a 6-month deal. So you can get 6 months of the platform for half the normal price. Obviously, it's a great way to test it out for the rest of the school year if you're thinking about jumping into the world of MusicFirst, and we hope you'll take advantage of that. My email is jim@musicfirst.com. Our generic email is info@musicfirst.com. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you so much for making it with me to the end. I appreciate it. I hope the rest of your school year is safe, healthy, and I hope that you're staying sane. Take care, everyone. Thanks again.